Can I welcome everyone here today? Welcome to this October full council meeting of Cone Town Council here in the Town Hall, and it will also be live streamed on the Town Council's YouTube channel. Have we got any apologies this evening?
Yes, Chair, I've received apologies from Councillor Dot Lord, and Councillor Mark Chung will be arriving late. That's all I've received.
Any others?
And David's, Councillor D. Coburn-Price as well.
Apologies for Emma.
Thank you. Are we happy to accept those apologies? Yes? Yes, thank you. The minutes of the meeting. Now, we've got two sets of minutes to approve. Firstly, the meeting held on Tuesday the 21st of September, which was the extraordinary meeting. Oh, yes, yeah. So the 21st, anybody got any questions, comments, amendments on those minutes? No? Can we approve those as a correct record then? Can I have a proposer then, that they're correct? Thank you, David. And can I have a seconder? Thank you, Glenda. All those in favour? The second set is the set on Tuesday the 21st of, Tuesday the 12th of October. It's not working. The microphone.
1, 2, 1, 2. Can you hear me?
I think it's Howard's. Down that road.
DJ.
He's just trying to sort it out. He'll have gone round the long way to get through. Yeah, with this one. Or I hope he is.
Just bear with us for a few moments till we try to get the microphones working. He's back.
Lose connection.
Is that working now, councillors?
Hang on, he's not plugged it in.
No,
Joys of technology.
no.
Finding the drawing. We can use the wireless one if needs be, you just have to pass it down your...
This one's working, like I said, so...
It's the connection that's connecting them.
The whole side, so... Your side?
Yeah, our side's on. Is that calmer? I'm only asking.
Now. Oh, Emma's here.
That's all right.
I don't think this one's working either. Oh, I know. Oh, it is now. It's come on.
Oh,
Push your connection in at the back.
1.
Howard? What's worse is we checked all these before.
Yeah.
We always do.
You've not missed anything, Emma. It's fine.
We had a technical problem.
We'll give it a few more minutes, then we'll just have to start, and you'll just have to. Well, I know they won't be able to hear as well.
We can pass the wireless one down if they want to. Let's try. He's daisy chaining it backwards. We have a solution. Yeah, well, it's on.
Oh, it's working.
Fab.
Oh,
Sorted.
all right. Are we good to go, members? Yeah. So the second lot of minutes that we need to sort out is the minutes of the meeting on the 12th of October. Is there any comments? Yes, Sarah.
So this is going back to my speaking at the last extraordinary meeting, which is my confusion really. So you have passed these minutes which says Combe Town Council does not reinstate the Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival in its current form. So here we've got these minutes which say members had an in-depth discussion about a summer music festival and it remaining as the Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival. So we've got something that's the same name. Is it the same number of days?
Sorry, I missed that.
Is it the same number of days?
I don't think it's been decided yet.
Okay,
Sarah.
so we don't know, that's nebulous. We've got potentially two people competing to book bands, they're knowledgeable people, a bit like Paddy. It looks like it's still going to be based at the Mooney, the Hippo, etc. So really, the budget, I don't know, I wasn't at that meeting, but David tells me it's a substantial budget that's now being put towards it. 2 lots of reserves plus the 20,000 gives 68. So I'm struggling to see how not reinstating it in its current form flows to these minutes where it's remaining as the Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival.
What it is, Councillor Coburn-Price, is that at the moment it isn't decided. It's just, it was decided at the September full council after being deferred from July that something needs to change to make it more sustainable for the council. So whether it's a music festival of some description, it can still be the blues, as many people have said, it's got a good reputation to it. But there is several options that have come to the council, which will be coming to a future meeting once all the information is collated.
So essentially, it will still be the blues, but it will be significantly different in some way not yet gone into, so that it doesn't remain in its current form, so that this decision still stands.
Yes.
So we get to hear what the difference is about it not remaining in its current form, but it won't be in its current form.
Yes. I think one of the things is that both options is for a wider genre of music. So both of the options have said that they want to make it substantially different musical genres.
Because you see my concern is that the decisions of this council have to be clear, so that if we decide today to, I don't know, burn down the town hall in some random act, then we follow it through and people know that that is what we're going to do. Because if we make a decision, people have to trust us that we will actually carry it through. And it seems to me, and I don't know what the other councillors think, but it's a bit like dancing on the head of a pin, this. We haven't decided how it's different beyond possibly genre, but even that's not decided. But the decision on the 21st, which was clearly to not reinstate the blues, appears to have been overturned. It seems like you've gone back on a decision that's been made.
Sorry.
Councillor Thomas?
It is working now. I think Councillor Coburn-Price, he's just been a bit picky and, for want of a better word, stirring it so that they can go out within the town and say, oh, it's you lot that cancelled the blues. What the resolution clearly said was in its present form. So anything that is, I think it will be substantially, anything we come up with will be substantially different to what it's been in the past. If the final outcome is that the Cone Blues Society, who we met, or some of us met yesterday, that will be substantially different. If we go with the tentative offer that we've had from Peter Barton, that will be substantially different, because at the moment in that there's no mention of road houses, for example. One of his suggestions was that the Hippodrome not be that the Hippodrome would be fully seated rather than, I don't know, half seated or whatever it was in previous times. So I think, you know, to say we're dancing on the head of a pin, it's just plain semantics with it, and until all the discussions have finished, and I know the town clerk is meeting one of the people from the Blues Society tomorrow. I know an offer has been made from Peter Barton to come and talk to the group of councillors as well, and you know, in fairness, we ought to give him the same sort of hearing that we gave the Blues Society. But at the moment, all that I think everybody in the room is determined to do is to have a festival at the bank holiday next year. If it's still called the Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival, fine. The Great British Blues Festival, when it started, would bear no relationship to the event that ran 2 years ago. So I don't see anything incongruous between the resolution that we've passed, that was passed in September, and the way things are going now. It's just, well.
I've got two speakers. I've got Liz and then I've got Neil. Okay.
Well, I'd just like to say that I agree with Councillor Coburn-Price, because we're asked as councillors to make decisions about things, to vote, to put our hands up in public. And I wrote to this gentleman because I was worried, in the light of all this, that I was going to be asked to make a decision that I didn't understand, or that wasn't going to be carried through in the way that I thought it was going to be carried through. So I do think it is really important, because I've got the verbatim transcript from the last full council meeting here, and it's very clear from that around the voting on this issue, there was a lot of confusion. One councillor asked for clarification 4 times. Another councillor asked for clarification. I'm sorry, Chair, but you asked for votes for when you wanted votes against. There was a lot of uncertainty about the correct procedure. And it was very, very confusing. And I think it's quite reasonable for any councillor to hold their hand up and say, I really would like some certainty. Because, for example, tonight, item 10 is the Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival. Now, at the end of the last full council meeting, Councillor Howard Thomas asked that this item be put on this month's agenda. There was then some inaudible discussion, because the other problem we have is that not everybody puts their microphones on, and that doesn't look too good to the public. Now we're on YouTube. The chair said we should call it the Blues, we should call it the Blues. The town clerk said, you can't, you made a decision on that. So then the chair said, we'll call it the bank holiday event in August. This is verbatim from the transcript. If you don't believe me, you can watch it. You can watch it with the transcript rolling right next to it. So yet here it is tonight on the agenda as the Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival. So all I'm saying is, I don't think any councillor is being unreasonable asking that we be crystal clear around this, because in the last meeting we had, there was a lot of confusion, and it was clear from social media that there was disagreement amongst the public about what had and hadn't been decided, and really that situation has rumbled on. So I would like more clarity about what's going on, because I hold my hand up and say, I'm confused and I'm worried about voting in this council.
Neil?
I don't want to cause an argument and I don't want to go on about this. This has been the bane of my life for weeks now. And it's not about gaining points, it's about getting the Blues Festival on next year. That's what it's about. It's not scoring points. However, if you look back at the meeting, I asked for it to be deferred until we got the public involved. And lo and behold, we had an extraordinary meeting in the municipal hall and we got the public involved. So the people are asking me, and I won't use the words I used, what is going on? And me as a councillor, I haven't got a clue, because everybody's having meetings and there's no information coming out, clarifications not correct. And one young gentleman last night said, you all, this is including me as well, you all want sacking. And if you look back on the video, it just, you don't know what's happening. So I agree, we should all really get together and get this Blues Festival up and running. I don't really mind which party runs it, as long as it's the public's money's paying for it this time. So it has to be right, and the public has to be involved. And as for the name costs £3,000, I believe. I would cry now, the amount of money it is worth now. It's worldwide. It's like Ford or whatever. Google, it's massive, the name is massive, so I don't want to give that name away to just anybody. If somebody wants that name, they can buy it, but I don't want to give it away unless it's for the people that are paid for it, and they do it. I don't want to go into this too much, but you know, we should all get our fingers out, stop messing the public about, and get this British Blues Festival up and running. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? I'll ask the town clerk to try and clarify this.
So in the September meeting you're referring to, where we said not to put it as the Blues, the decision to call it the Blues hadn't been made. Whereas at the extraordinary meeting, it became very clear that that was what the council wanted it to remain as, in whatever form it came across at. That was part of the reason the extraordinary meeting was held. I am sorry if there's been some confusion on this, but obviously the report that came to full council in September was the item that had been deferred from July about running some description of a music festival. And at the time in September, when you had your full council, none of the offers that are currently on the table were on the table. So it was left for us to find other options within that budget for the 2022-2023 to be able to run a music festival to support the residents of Combe. Hope that helps.
We will try and clarify on item 10. Okay. So can I have a proposal for the minutes of the meeting on the 12th of October, please, as a correct record? Thank you, Brian. And can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Clegg, thank you. Item 4 is declaration of interest. Have we got it? Thank you.
Planning items 1 and 4.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you. Public forum. We do have 3 members of the public to address the council, but I think only 2 are going to address the council this evening. So if I can ask Michael, if you'd like to address the council, thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. September the 3rd was Merchant Navy Day. It's an opportunity for the public in general and local authorities and other organisations in particular to commemorate those merchant seamen who have paid the ultimate price in both war and peace. The majority of the goods we see in shops and take for granted is transported from foreign countries by men and women who risk their lives daily to supply our needs. I was an engineer officer at sea for many years, and my badge of rank was gold stripes separated by purple. The purple being in tribute to the engineers serving on board the Titanic, as to a man they all remained at their station in order to maintain power for as long as possible while the ship was abandoned, and to a man they all perished. Imagine my disappointment that on the 3rd of September, Merchant Navy Day, Cone failed to show respect to the merchant seamen the world over who have perished both in war and in peacetime, and especially to Wallace Hartley, who so bravely gave up his own chance of survival. I contacted the council last year to ask why the red ensign was not flown above the town hall or on the other flagpoles opposite, and I didn't even get the courtesy of a reply. I did the same again this year, and again was met with silence. I also personally emailed Councillor Butterworth, but sadly got the same 0 response until well after the event. My disappointment rapidly turned to disgust. Other neighbouring towns that do not have the special connection that Cone has have proudly and respectfully flown the red ensign, and some have even held memorial services attended by ex-seafarers, civic dignitaries, and members of the armed forces, as well as the Merchant Navy Association. If, as councillors, you're beginning to feel a little uncomfortable, I would suggest that you should also feel embarrassment and shame. I'm an optimist by nature, and I sincerely hope that you will take on board, no pun intended, my comments as constructive criticism, and that next year Cone will join the rest of the United Kingdom in showing respect for the many lost seafarers in general and Wallace Hartley in particular. In conversations with our own Town Council Clerk and Councillor Butterworth, I am assured that this will happen, and for that I am grateful. September the 3rd was chosen for Merchant Navy Day as it is the date in 1939 when Great Britain declared war on Germany after the invasion of Poland. And on that same day, the first British vessel, the SS Athenia, was sunk with the loss of 117 souls. I would also remind the Council that there are other precious days that have recently passed but were sadly not respected. Battle of Britain Day and Trafalgar Day, to name but 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Neil?
Good evening, sir, and thank you for turning up. The reason why I didn't reply to your first email is I didn't see it. With all the things that have been going on and the COVID, I didn't actually see your personal email. The first time I saw your email, I responded straight away. I've spoke to you before, and as Pendle's All Force champion, if I saw it before, I'd have been on the case that day, because I do believe that our merchant navy served alongside all the other armed forces in both world wars, not just the Second World War, and many lives were lost. So I thank you for your service. We will redeem ourselves. We are going to put the flags up here, and we try also at Nelson. And we invite you, as I've said in the email, we invite you to come along to the opening. If I'm available as mayor, I will come as mayor and Pendle's All Forces champion. So thank you again for highlighting this, and we will redeem ourselves. And once again, thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you. And Michael, I've been assured by our town clerk that it will get sorted. Okay, thank you. The next person is Jane. Jane, do you want to speak?
No, it needs to go through the mic so it goes on mic.
All right. I think Nathan will probably.
Lots and lots of people like that, very intimidating. So, I think what I would like to say is obviously in relation to the Blues. We did have a good meeting with the councillors yesterday, for which we are very grateful. I think, in my mind, this boils down to obviously the two offers that are on the table in front of you. We've got one, which is Pete, and I know all the boys in the Blues Society have a lot of respect for him. They do work for him. He sends, you know, we've got Jack's being sent out to America on a trip with him next year. But it's the same. It's the same as getting somebody in, one person with one taste in music, to run the whole event. The Blues Society came about because of what happened in the big furore after whatever happened at that meeting, which none of us really care about anymore, to be perfectly honest. They came together as a collective, and it was a way in which they feel they can get the voices of the people of Colne and the wider blues community heard by forming a working group. Because there are 10 of them, there's lots of different opinions, there's lots of different tastes, there's lots of different ways in which they think they can take it forward. They're very much of the opinion that they want to target new markets, because obviously we can't have the blues dying out. There's lots of new innovative things that they want to bring into that, and they are very, very, very passionate about doing so. My involvement is kind of on the financial side, to try and work out new ways in which we can raise revenues for this. Because obviously you can't run an event if it's not going to make money. With that in mind, we've teamed up with Pendleside Hospice, and what we and they would very much like to do is to run the Fringe initially, and then the whole festival once it moves into the Charitable Trust, in the same way that we do with the pub walk. So you get a t-shirt, you pay £20 to the hospice, and that will generate a revenue. The other revenue we can generate is obviously by ticket sales. We've got contacts in sponsorship, and because we are also business people, we've got lots and lots of contacts to do that. It's kind of a community project, is this. This is giving the Blues Festival back to the people of Colne to run it in the best way possible. And I think it's either that, or it's maybe the council losing some money on the investment that they're going to put in 2022, and one single individual benefiting from that. And I think I know which way I would choose. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Neil, you want to say something?
Yeah, again, I don't want to carry on with this blues too much, but what we should be really aware of, and I know you sat here, but so I'm not going to talk silly. If somebody wants to run it, that's fine. But if somebody that has a business that's involved in it, then you've got to ask yourself, will it be all orientated down the bottom end again? Because I'm getting so much hassle from the people up the town. There's no stage up the town, there's no interest up the town, they all pay whatever into the bid. And it just seems, over the last few years, the Blues Festival is the bottom of Colne Blues Festival. So we've got to be very careful that the people involved, the businesses involved, don't take it over with an interest in their business. And I'm talking now for the people of Colne, not for myself. People have asked me, are the pubs downtown going to run the blues? Or can the pubs uptown help and run the blues? So that's one of my fears. Thank you.
You might not know that we had a full discussion with Jane and her colleagues the other day, and we are looking at all the options because it's complicated. There might be lots of things to think about, but we will be bringing it back as soon as possible so all the councillors can have a really good understanding and full report to what's going to happen. No. Yeah. I mean,
Chair, this item is for information only, not to start debates. If we wanted a debate, we could wait till item 10.
And yeah, I mean, there will be ongoing discussions, that's what I can say, and everything will be taken into account. Okay, yes, Jonathan.
Can I go back to the flag a minute?
Yes.
So much just popped into my head. I thought you sent an email round about the flag, but why did it not go up?
Yes, you can.
So it didn't come across my desk till after the 3rd of September. As soon as it did, I spoke to the gentleman himself. The flags, I got consent to use the budget for flags that the council has to purchase them. They have been purchased. It's in my diary on repeat every year, and it's actually going on the top of this building. So, but we didn't have them before.
Thanks for that. As you know, I love flags. What about the RAF flag that David mentioned?
So you've got the Merchant Navy one and the RAF one, and the dates I have confirmed with Mr. Foreshort so that we can make sure they are up, and they are going at Pride of Place on the top of the town hall, not just across the way. So they literally, as soon as I got council approval, they were ordered, and within that week in my office.
Okay. Thank you, thank you. Before we go on, Councillor Chung has sent his apologies. He was hoping to be able to come late, but he's not be able to come at all now. So we're okay to accept Councillor Chung's apologies, yes. Item 6 is finances. We've got paper 6A and paper 6B to receive a schedule of payments from 15th of September to the 12th of October. Does anyone have any clarifications or questions on the schedule of payments? Yes, Sarah?
Just questions, really. We look at the big numbers, the payments over £1,000. I just wonder why we've got over 1,000 to Farnworth Rose.
Do you want me to do that one?
I'll ask our financial officer to...
Me on this one.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry.
It is the legal fees for the negotiation of one of the leases of our properties.
And really, I just note that the fees to unique facilities, quite chunky that, isn't it?
That is actually the main grounds maintenance payment for the month.
And looking at the rates bill to Pendle Council, is that every month?
Yes.
Well, I actually think, and perhaps this is a thing that we need to put on. I actually think, and perhaps this is a thing we need to put on a future agenda, that we should look at putting all our facilities in trust. And then that way we'd be saving 80% of the rates bill for, say, Primmett Community Centre or this town hall. You know, I'm a borough councillor as well, but really we should be trying to do things as efficiently as possible. Final question, or just note, really, the very large, almost 2,500 for the Primmett sound and lighting. I'm presuming this is all of this, is it?
No.
No?
No, when we took over Primmett, it had its own funds that had to be solely spent on Primmett, and the sound and lighting system was older than, I'll be honest, most of the councillors in this room, so it needed upgrading. So it's had full upgrades on that with the money that is solely allowed to be used for that property.
Are you content with that, Sarah? Are we happy to... Oh, Jonathan, sorry, Jonathan.
There are two payments to Skipton Building Society, £66,000. What are they for, please?
Yes, I can answer that. It's the last FAS meeting, it was agreed to transfer some funds into a community saver account at Skipton Building Society. Now, the way that our online banking works, we can only transfer so much in a day. So I had to do it in 4 different payments. So that's what they are. Obviously, it's only showing 2, so next month you'll get the other 2.
Okay, Councillor. Right, well, paper 6A, can I have a proposal that we accept that? Councillor Thomas, and seconded by Emma, thank you. Now we've got to receive a summary of the budget spend. Are we all in favour of these? Yeah? Yeah? Thank you. The budget spend. Any concerns, issues, clarifications? No?
Move
Can
the
so-
report.
Can someone propose them then?
I just did.
Oh, right, sorry. Can I have a seconder? All those in favour of the budget summary? Thank you. We go on to item 7, which is naming of a room in the town hall. Do you want to speak, Councillor Thomas? Open this.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I suspect that out of everybody in this room, I knew Tony Greaves longer than anybody, with the possible exception of Councillor Clamp. I first met him in 1974, which is much longer ago than I care to remember, at the October general election in that year. But by then, he was already, or had already been, a councillor on Colne Borough Council in this, and I'm not sure which seat he sat in this august chamber, but quite often would point it out at Colne and district area committees and say things like, I used to, that was my seat and that was so-and-so's seat. And in the little room that's downstairs, which I think is now the allotments office, he used to, it was a little committee room at one point, and whenever he went in it, he would say, I've come to pay me rates, because that was used to be the rates office. Now, whether you liked him or not, there is no doubt that Tony did a lot for this area, and particularly the area of Waterside, where he was instrumental in driving forward housing improvement areas, general improvement areas. That probably doesn't mean anything to many people in the chamber now, but what that meant was that these areas were given a huge facelift. The Notts Lane area and the streets around there are unrecognisable as to what they were in 1975-6. The West Street area there, all the improvements there were made sort of 74-5, 6. The Millennium Green is there because a grant, there used to be things in the good old days called a derelict land grant, where central government and, I'll use a dirty word, the European Regional Fund used to give money to help clean up derelict areas. They cleared up what was Home Mill, which is now the Millennium Green, and also further afield, the Ballgrove Nature Area is as a result of grants that were received for derelict land improvements and so on. And I think it's only fitting that we do remember that. I'm trying to think of because I know that Tony would hate all the things that are being were said about him when he sadly died back in, was it March? It only seems very recently, but it is in fact some time ago. And the work that he did as a Pendle councillor, a county councillor, he was instrumental in getting my old alma mater, St Michael and All Angels Primary School, moved from its Victorian buildings to what was the Holy Rosary Convent, which is where it is now in Fulridge. And when he was in the Lords, he fought tirelessly for this area, and he'd be pulling out what little hair he had over the machinations that are going on to do with COP26, is it 26, which is looking like it's going to be a bit of a damp squib. So I, Chair, would like to move that we name the small committee room the Tony Greaves committee room. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, David, and then Sarah's got something to say.
As Howard says, I've known Tony for a very long time, both working with him for nearly 10 years at the Association of Liberal Councillors and on Pendle Council for 12 years. On the paper, it says Lord Greaves. Howard's just moved that we call it the Tony Greaves. Every time you met Tony, anybody who knew him, and you used the word Lord to him, you used to say, Tony, I was Tony when you first met me, and I'll be Tony when he last met me. And that is the reason why we want it called Tony Greaves rather than Lord Greaves, because Tony, even though he had the title, was always Tony. And Howard's right. It would take hours to list the things that Tony was involved in his years in politics. And he's also right that he was a Colne Town councillor. Most people won't remember because there were 36 councillors on Colne when Tony were on, and he was the only Liberal, and the rest of them were Labour, virtually. When Pendle were formed, but he's fought tirelessly for all types of people. It didn't matter what your politics were to Tony. If he believed he could do something for your cause, he would take it up. And I think it would be a great honour to call it the Tony Greaves. Thank you very much.
And are you seconding that?
I'll second that, definitely.
Sarah?
Tony, or Lord Greaves, worked for this area for an incredible amount of time. I think it's 4 decades. And just wanted to let you know that he was chairman of the Climate Change Emergency Working Group at Pendle Council. And it was actually Councillor Nixon who had a place on that. But then during COVID, he couldn't go because Jonathan kept on working. And so I stepped in to go during the day. And I really loved it. It was so fascinating, all the things that were being brought in. Whereas perhaps previously I thought it would be fiddling around the edges, but actually really great projects are being done. So now I am chairman of the Climate Change Emergency Working Group, and we are having, and I've not told anybody this, so this is a thing, it would be great to go in the minutes. There is National Tree Week, and it's the end of November, beginning of December, you can look it up. But on the 2nd of December, we are having a bit of a do. We're going to dedicate the woodland at Fulridge in Lord Greaves Tony's memory. Don't know, that's all up for debate, what we're calling him on the little board. We can get feed in for that. My idea, the chief executive is looking at this at the moment, would be to have a little bit about the woodland and a little bit about the life and works of Lord Greaves. And then they're looking at the budgets. They reckon they've got a budget for a nice lunch or something. And so we can invite everybody on the 2nd of December, but it will be in daylight hours. So just wanted to let people know about that. And that will be Pendle Council's tribute to him.
Thank you, Sarah. I think I can tell you that I had an email from someone at Pendle Council, and I've spoke to Tony's wife, and she's okay with that. She thinks it's been wonderful for him. Thank you. Can we all vote then? All those in favour of naming the room here as the Tony Greaves Committee room? Thank you. We'll get a little plaque. Item 8 is Cone Neighbourhood Plan. I think that's Sarah as well.
Yes, we're really moving forward, aren't we, Tina? We're feeling the wind beneath our wings. So we had phase 1 of the design code for Cone, and we found lots of little errors. Well, I found the little errors, and Michael found the things that were to do with policy. We've both put that back in, and now we've had an email response from locality saying that will be back with us by the 10th of November at the latest. I'm not sure. Actually, no, it's before, isn't it? Because they want to have it back with us so we can share it with the advisory committee, and then we can approve that and move that forward. The only uncertainty we have is, sadly, again, on the viabilities. We've got all the baseline data. That's all been done. But sadly, there is one man who can do the work, and unfortunately, his mother is dying and he is nursing her, and so at the moment we just don't know when that work will be done. We have to wait for this one man. We are the trailblazing place, and we're just doing everything else, aren't we? We're just doing everything else. Gina's got another grant for £6,000, which was bonus money as far as we're concerned. We're hoping as soon as we get the viability in, we'll do our MOT check. And I have very, very nearly finished the updated list of non-designated heritage assets. And we have finished the Come to Cone branded, you know, everything that's wonderful about Cone, why you'd want to live in Cone, etc. So we're very much hoping, with a following wind, given that we've got outside people, so it's not wholly within our power, that we will be able to bring this to December's full council here, ready to go to Pendle as Neil Watson's special Christmas present from us. So, but we can only hope. There's nothing that's holding us back at our side. It is literally just the final things from locality.
Has anybody got any questions to ask Sarah? Yes, Alan.
It's fine. They can even hear me down the wire.
Thank you.
I think it's on.
It is on.
Yeah, just to say that on the 13th of November, Lancashire County Council are having an event. Everybody on this council received the email today. There will be someone there that will be able to help with what you just mentioned. So I would advise you to come along and raise it with the appropriate county councillor, if that's helpful.
Yeah, I think I've had it today, and you can either come by Zoom or in person. That's correct, isn't it?
I don't think it will, Alan, just because Cone was chosen out of 4 towns to have this special trailblazing thing. It's a new way of looking at viabilities, and they don't even know whether they'll continue on with this methodology. So Cone is just one of 4 places, and so therefore it's not like anywhere else has had this done so far. We're the first. So it's just unfortunate. It's a personal problem that this poor chap has got, and we just have to ride it out, I'm afraid.
Thank you. We're on with planning now. Oh yes, David, thank you.
Yes, Chairman, can I just make one or two comments about the neighbourhood plan? And it's not a criticism of Sarah at all, or her group, but when we get verbal reports like this, it's all right for people that are on the neighbourhood plan working group, because they know exactly what is going on and what's been going on in the background. And there has a lot of work been going on in the background. But the rest of the councillors that are not on it don't get the minutes from that working group. No, they don't. Well, I've never had them.
Sorry, mate. Since it became an advisory committee, they usually come to full council. However, with the meeting only being last Wednesday, we were unable to turn them round quick enough to get them out to you for this meeting. So that the next full council, they will be coming as well.
The point I'm getting at here, Chairman, is, and as I said, I'm not criticising Sarah or her group at all, and I'm not expecting Sarah to take on any extra work whatsoever. But when there's only a verbal report, what happens is, in a few months' time, someone might decide to look back and look at the decision we've made. And when you look at the decision we've made in the minutes, unless you look at the report, you can't always decide why we made that decision, because there is a lack of information. There's no paper trail. And I just feel that somewhere there needs to be a better paper trail, either with all the minutes from the neighbourhood working group going to everyone, or we do need some sort of, I'm just saying we need some sort of a paper trail, Chairman, because when you look back and you don't have the actual agenda item as to why they came to that decision, the minutes don't mean anything because you can't relate to it.
Thank you, David. You want to reply, Sarah?
Yeah, Gina, I think Gina's minutes are really excellent. And you did have the last one, and you will have these the ones that we did. I mean, presumably as soon as they're ready, you can send them. You don't have to wait for the next full council. So that's why we're no longer a working group. Largely, we're an advisory committee, so that everybody can see the minutes, and the minutes are public to the people of Cone. But actually, we don't make any spending decisions or anything like that. That would come to FES, I'm presuming. So I just don't think that Gina could have got them out for this meeting. It would have been impossible. But I'm sure that probably, I'm looking at you, but next week, I don't know.
Yeah, they will definitely.
I think you're away next week, though, aren't you?
I am away next week, but I'm hoping to get them obviously done this week and approved, so I can send them out towards the end of the week.
And if people are really interested in, it's live streamed, so they can listen in.
We were very excited this time. A member of the public stayed for the whole session. We lifted our game.
The next item is planning. Have we all got them there? There's an additional item that came in late, but I'll get to that when we get there. So the first item is 21/0791/FUL, and it's Barnfield Construction Limited, Linden House, Linden Road, Colne. Has anyone any comments about this? Yes, Councillor Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the plan across everybody's head. The proposal at the moment is that the entrance and exit moves from you can see it on the left-hand plan there, the as is, at the it's the southern end, which is the end nearest the municipal hall, down to the bottom end on Linden Road. In fact, in years gone by, there used to be both those entrance and exits, but all the objections that have people have written in are that proposed new exit is a little bit close to the corner of Cragg Street, and I think it would be much better if the new entrance stroke exit was as near the middle of, you can see there where they're suggesting that they break that dividing line down the middle with an extra gap in it, that the new entrance should be there or thereabouts, so that it goes out onto Cragg Street. So that I think will just mean that any traffic move, it is easier then when coming out to be able to see, because if you are turning left there out of Linden Road and then onto Cragg Street, it's a fairly tight corner. So I think that we ought to ask if there's no problem with it, but that would be a better entrance and exit.
Thank you. Councillor Clegg?
Thank you, Chairman. Going back to, 2008, three of us sat in this room tonight, actually met with Tim Webber down on that car park so long ago and discussed that car park at the time, because that was when Barnfield first got involved in it. And prior to that, the extension part of the car park was actually a kickabout area. It was a kickabout area for kids, and it didn't get used properly, so it became part of car park. But Howard is right, there did used to be two entrances to that car park. There were one at the top and one at the bottom, so that you could go in or out either way. The one at the bottom was always a problem, which was why it was closed and it was reduced to one. At the time, there was a planning application then to reopen the other way into it from the bottom. And after a lot of long discussions and consultation with the county council at the time, who are the highway authority, it was thought then, way back in 2008, that the appropriate place to come in was along the bottom from Craig Street. And I'm still minded that that would be a better place to come in. So what I would like us to do, if we can all agree on it, is to, welcome this change on the car park, but ask if they could consider coming in from the bottom, from Craig Street.
Thank you. Is anybody any comments about that or concerns? If we put that in as no? We'll put that in as a comment on the planning application there. The second one is 21/0798/ADV, caked up. I think this might have already been done. Was it a retrospective one, Sarah?
It is. It's horrific. I have written to the planning officer and said, if she's minded to approve it, then I'd like to call it in. Would it be possible, because I think that this is interesting, and I think that the town council will be interested in what Anissa has to say about how the bid can help with the conservation area and some of the problems that we have. Because I think it's really clear that we don't want businesses like the Chinese takeaway, which I think was last time, to waste money on something that is wholly wrong. We want them to do it right the first time, then they're not wasting money. Because then we have to get into an enforcement action and all kinds of things. So I think if it's possible, I think you'd be interested to hear what Anissa has to say.
Well, Anissa didn't.
Alan's waving.
Oh, Alan's waving. Yes, Alan. Oh.
Is this already switched on? Yeah. So we are looking to collaborate with Pendle Borough Council on creating a guidance document for businesses that are in the conservation area in Colne, because I do believe that a lot of the businesses, if they do know they're in a conservation area, they probably don't actually know what they can and can't do. I have been given access to the guidance notes, which everybody has anyway, which has been developed by the planning officers at Pendle Council. And I think I'm going to have to put a day to one side to go through it all, because it's just incredibly long-winded, and I can just imagine a business owner not sort of going through it and being able to understand it and interpret it and sort of really understand what it actually is. So I'm planning on working with them to come up with a very easy to understand visual sort of do's and don'ts of how your shop front should look. A bit like we were sort of discussing it in the board meeting, which just took place for the bid just before this meeting. A bit like, when you get your passport photos done and you've got a big green tick against the one that it should look like and a cross against the one that it shouldn't. So it is something we are working on, and I think it'll save businesses a lot of time and a lot of money instead of having to go back and correct work that shouldn't have taken place. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that update, that information. It's Colne Town Council comments for planning on this application. Anything? Yes, Jonathan.
Can we see an elevation, please, rather than a detail of a ladder?
You need to see a video.
I was going to say it's actually closed today, so you can't see it, but there is actually a closed sign that is flashing neon currently, and they've got window stickers and banners. It doesn't look great.
It's below where Luandy's used to be. Next to Luandy's. O'Neill.
It used to be bar 12 back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very noticeable as you drive up at this time of night, and when it's shut, it distracts you from your driving. It really does. It needs to be calmed down, extremely calmed down. Thank you.
So we're objecting strongly. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
I think that's, and we can put the reasons, you know, that conservation area and that it distracts people when they come up. Yeah. Item 3 on the planning applications, 21 /0819/LBC. That's the Canal and River Trust. Listed building consent, alterations to offside lock ladder recess.
Chair, I think we should just no comment. I think, having read some of it this afternoon, all it's doing is bringing the health and safety of the ladder up to current standards, rather than people trapping their hands and falling in.
Is everybody happy with no comment? Yes. Okay, thank you. Item 4 is 21/0261/FUL. It's Combe Cricket Club. Erection of permanent 2-lane practice facility comprising of practice surface and fixed netting. Neil?
Yeah, I have no problem with it. It's out of view of everybody. There's already netting places there already, so I would suggest no comment.
And, oh, yes, I've got Brian and then David.
It is out of the way, and that snicket's closed at the moment. I'm not sure whether it might be open to vandalism if the snicket is opened up, because when I was a lad and grounds used to be packed on Con, I used to climb up over that wall to get him free. So if anybody's got intentions to damage or vandalise the wicket, I don't, because it's out of the way, I don't think people will easily be able to spot them doing it.
All right, thank you. David?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. When this came to us previously, before the amended plan, we did, at that point, we actually replied to it, welcoming this application and supporting it. And what they've proposed this time with the amendment is actually an improvement on how it was. So I don't think we've any other alternative really, other than to send the same comments back saying that we fully support it.
Are you all right with that, Brian? Having made the comment that it may be vandalised. Okay, thank you. Item 5 is 21/0591/NMA, Wendy Richardson, 82 Albert Road, Cove. This came in very last minute. It's change of position and layout of stairs. Of planning permission 13/14/0040P.
Chair,
Howard?
It's on. I had a brief look just before we started, but I think what this does, as I understood a quick glance at it, regularises the position and replaces the wooden staircase with the metal one. I think if I'm looking at it correctly.
Anybody else have it? Is this it? Yes, Neil?
Yeah, for everybody, it's tubs, and we asked them to take the wooden staircase down and replace it with non-compostable staircase, and they have. So they've done what they've said we've asked them to do. So I have no issues with it.
Anybody else got any comments? Sarah?
Most importantly, it is compliant with the conservation area. The problem that we have with conservation areas is that if one person gets away with something, then everybody else thinks it's fine. One thing that Anissa didn't say is that she was driving through Padiham and she looked and she saw bargain booze of Padiham, and they have a special sort of conservation area compliant frontage. So I think we need to be really strict with our conservation area. We need to thank people who do things properly and hold them up as exemplars. And possibly that's something that we could use the Cone Town Council social media for. We could say, look at this fabulous shop front, look at these beautiful iron stairs, you know, enhancing our conservation area. Because we shouldn't complain all the time, we should praise people as well.
No comment. Are we happy with that? Support? Yes? Okay. Item 10 is the Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival, and to receive a verbal update on progress of the Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival 2022. For information only, I'll hand over to the clerk who's got all the information.
We did obviously have quite a discussion about this near the beginning of the meeting, so this should be a nice short one for yourselves. We had a meeting with Cone Blues Society and the Hospice yesterday on the proposal that's submitted. Having read the proposal, there were several questions that were raised that needed answers to, because we weren't quite sure of various bits, who was expected to do what. Some of those questions were answered at the meeting yesterday. Others were not, so I'm actually meeting with one of them tomorrow to go through the finer details again, so that I'm able to then submit a report to the council with the full details of all the options for this festival going forward. They will go to FES as they are looking at the budgets next month at the very beginning, and then those options will then come forward to full council. Just means that when we're setting the budget, we know kind of what figures they're looking for. I've also believed that one of the other options that came forward, Mr. Barton, has agreed to come in and speak to the small group of councillors who met with the Cone Blues Society. The date of that is yet to be finalised, just so that we can get a full picture of all the options, and the councillors can then have the information to make an informed decision. Councillor.
Very small question. I know it's for information only, Howard. Don't shower me. This item is a red hot item, and when you put it onto the next agenda, would it not take over the meeting? Should it be an extraordinary meeting? Because it'll just take over the meeting, full stop. Thank you.
It could do. It also depends on what else we have on the agenda. So the agenda will be made sure that it's suitable. And if we don't feel that we can do it within our 2-hour time limit, we can either look at whether we could waive a standing order or, like you say, have an extraordinary meeting. Until I've got all the information, I'm not sure which way would be best. But as soon as we've got it, it'll be coming back to yourselves for decision.
Yeah, we do realise it's urgent, really, to get it sorted out. You know, we're working on it. Anybody else want to speak on this? No? Thank you. Correspondence received. We've got one from Councillor Ash Sutcliffe about road closures. Yes, thank you. Jonathan?
Thanks, Chair. Just a minor point. Is this document supposed to be redacted? Because you can still, someone's tried to cross it out, but you can still see which come from and who's been copied in. It's just a point for future reference. If we're going to be doing a redaction, should it be done proper?
I'll make sure in the future it is. It was something that I believe he wanted to know, the council to know where it had come from.
Oh, right.
So it was just his email address I'd taken out.
We've got this here. Anybody has any issues how we should answer this? Should we just note it? Oh, yes, Councillor Clegg.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. The last thing I want to create is a bun fight about this particular item and this letter, because I can see, in a sense, I can see Ash Sutcliffe's point, and going back to something that was said earlier this evening about the Blues Festival, about saying we want to involve the top of the town more, and to do that, we want the road closure to go all the way through to Skipton Road, not just to just above here. There's a conflict between the two things that we're trying to do, isn't there? Because we can't support Mr. Sutcliffe and not have the road closure and have the road closure extended for the Blues all the way through to Skipton Road. Now, as I said, I don't want to get into a bum fight about this, but it's something that's going to seriously have to be considered when we come back to having further discussions with the new group for the Blues. We're going to have to come to some sort of consensus as to whether we're having an extended road closure to incorporate all of the town centre and put them all on a level playing field, or are we going to have the road closure stop outside the Duke of Lancaster, where it has normally done. And it's just something that is going to be another part of the discussion when we get back round the table and talk to the new group for the Blues about this issue.
Anybody else got any thing to say? Yes, Liz?
I think the issue here is the date, isn't it? It's, as Ash says, it's the biggest shopping weekend of the year. So I understand what Councillor Clegg is saying. There does seem to be a bit of a contradiction when you want to try and involve the top of the town as well as the bottom of the town, but this is slightly different. So I would just say that I understand the point he's making. This is an important shopping weekend. So I guess that's,
yeah. I think it's been this weekend for a number of years, and we're trying to do it this time for health and safety reasons. Yeah. Do you want to say anything, Neil?
Yeah, I do understand fully. It's been on the same date for years and years and years. The problem that we've had in the past is we've only had one lane closed, okay? And my biggest concern was the safety of pedestrians. We moved from one side of the road, we can't go on the path, and there were people walking into the other side of the road. So for safety reasons, and if you look at some of the places, they would be enhanced by people walking there. If you look at Indulge Cafe, which I use, there's parking all around, and the people walk, see, and go in. If they're driving a car, they drive past. So having a pedestrian walkway on that day, I think, and I'm not a shop owner, would be good, because people walk past shops, look in the windows, and then go in. Whereas the driving, they just look at it and drive on. So I think it's a good thing for people to walk past the shops, and it's only one day. I know I shouldn't say that because it's a 1 day's trading and they make a lot of money, but that event brings thousands into the town centre. On a good day, even on a rainy day, when I'm on the stage and I'm looking back, you see nothing but happy faces. So I do understand his problem and the other people. Jane's here as well, your name's on this. I just think it's a really good event. It's a family event and it goes down really well. Thank you very much.
Sarah?
I think that Neil has misunderstood, and I would look to Naomi to clear this up. I think you're thinking Albert Road won't have traffic going down it, but it will, won't it?
Yes, please comment.
If I may, Chair. The Christmas event has two elements to the road closure. It has your one for the Torchlit Parade, which is what Councillor Butterworth is on about, because we are now having to close both lanes of traffic because the event has simply got too big to do with a live carriage of traffic. it's impossible to do it and to do it safely. The other road closure we're on about is the one that we close for during the day with the market stalls and all the other part of the event. Now, over the last several years of myself running it, it has always been that way, except for one day, one of the events where we tried closing it at 3 p.m, which resulted in me being missed by a car by an inch. And I'm not over exaggerating then. So it's deemed it's not safe to do the stalls up there without that closure in. The other option that we did that year where we didn't close it earlier was putting them on the car parks. And the council got a lot of grief because, great, people could drive through the town centre, but they then couldn't park because all your car parks had all your stalls on. I mean, this is an event that has run for years and years. The look to change the date has been reviewed, but it's done in conjunction with other councils. So, for example, Barnoldswick is the week before, and it's tried to make it so that none of the events clash. We obviously do clash with one council. Some years we do, some years we don't. But this is a matter of the health and safety for the event. It isn't safe to run that event how the council had chosen to do it and have that carriageway open and the stalls in it. So that's the reason behind it. I believe Sarah and Alan are waving at you.
Yes. Sarah, do you want to come back on that?
I suspect that it's probably too late to change this. But if you read this letter, what it's about is communication, isn't it? It's about communication. And obviously, the words like appears to have fallen on deaf ears. And lots of people have sort of badgered me and said they don't need that funfair. It could be somewhere else. That could be a car park. They don't need this. They don't need that. Everybody has a view. So may I suggest that next year, at least next year, that you do a proper consultation with Cone businesses and people who live in Cone and enjoy the event. And possibly they're different groups because we know where the businesses are, and we could just make it on social media, sort of Survey Monkey or whatever, for the people of Cone, so that we have transparency, communication, and people feel that they've been listened to. Because actually, sometimes if you feel you've been listened to, but the decision goes the other way, then you're still okay with it because you feel that proper thinking and decision making has taken place.
Thank you. Alan wants to comment on this item.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm involved with lots of organisations, and we host festivals all across Europe, Manchester. We advised Manchester City Council about closing roads, and everyone said, oh, you can't do that, it'll impact on the businesses. Those businesses in and around the Arndale Centre are absolutely thriving. Stockport is absolutely thriving. And I think the comment that Councillor Coburn-Price has just made is that plan for the future, and I make this comment to our councillors in Whitworth and all over, don't dump it all on the clerk, set up a subcommittee and involve members of your business community, and you really will get a good positive outcome and a good solution. You will get people that complain. That's the nature of the human race, sadly. But at the end of the day, it's about forward planning. If you want any advice, there's not one member in here can turn around and say, well, we haven't got his contact details, because you have, because you must be sick to death of receiving emails. That's the way I work. But if you want any help or advice, that's what we're here for. And we don't charge. You will never see my name on any of your bills, because that's why you pay LALC your membership. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Well, as I say, it's too late for this year, so we'll note Ashley's, and the events committee can look at it at the first meeting after Christmas. And we've got another item 116. It's about
11B.
11B. Yes, it's in your area, isn't it, Sarah? Yes.
This is something that I've only just come across, and I'm looking at David to see whether he's come across it before. It was actually on the top of Skipton Old Road, up by the Black Lane ends. A couple contacted me because their next door neighbours wanted to have a motorhome park next to them. And I went to see them and I said, don't worry, when it comes to planning, we'll discuss the long range views. And they said, oh no, the thing is, there's an exception under the 1960 Act, which means it won't come to planning. So there are certain groups within motorhomes, David Clamp's nodding at me, no. There are certain groups that can just bring forward an application, and actually it doesn't go through the Pendle Borough Council planning process. And the first one that I came across a couple of months ago was the Caravan Club of Great Britain. And actually Neil Watson, although it didn't officially come before him, did put in about the long range views and that they couldn't be screened, and the Caravan Club of Great Britain decided not to go ahead with that. You can imagine how visible that would have been in the landscape up there. So when this one came forward, I was already au fait with the 1960 Act, and this is an entirely different application from the first. It's not a matter of long range views, but what it is it's in a conservation area. So it can be viewed from Skipton Old Road, but it can be viewed from the Lidget Triangle. Those views are important, and they have been discussed at the appeal for the Upper Rough, for example, and they need to be protected. And then you may remember that this particular plot of land is now at appeal for 2 houses. And one of the reasons it was turned down was because of access. So you go along Skipton Old Road, you go into Bent Lane, then there is a little, no, it's called Bent, sorry, you go into Bent, then there is a tiny unmade track that actually is partly, doesn't have any footway or anything. It is an official footpath in the conservation area, but it's also access to about 4 or 5 houses. And it's very problematic because it's bend to get there. So one of the reasons that the planning application for the houses was turned down was because of access. And I feel that although officially we don't look at it, Pendle Council doesn't look at it, and we don't look at it, I think we should care. And, as I say, the Caravan Club of Great Britain didn't go ahead with the one at the top of Skipton Old Road, even though they have that exemption under the 1960 Act. And I feel that this town council should support this resident in putting in a letter to say, a response to the motorhome fund or whatever it is, to say that we've considered it. It is deleterious in the conservation area, bad development. You can see it from the 2 angles within the conservation area. And of course, there is the access, which at the moment is contested as an access for houses, but perhaps we might note motorhomes are bigger than most domestic cars. I'd be interested to hear what everybody else has to say.
Yes, David?
Thank you, Chairman. Obviously, from the description that Sarah has given, she knows exactly where this is, and she knows all the problems with it. We've had several problems, not just the last planning application, but we've had several problems with this particular piece of land in the past. I am possibly in a better position than Sarah to say what I want to say about this at the moment, because should it go to Pendle Council, Sarah would be involved in the decision. I am in the fortunate position where I am no longer on the planning authority, so I can't fetter my interest, and as such can possibly have a little more leeway as to what I say. But Sarah is absolutely right. One of the main reasons for turning this down, and you'll all remember it, it's nothing much better than a narrow cart track that probably has a better surface on than most cart tracks, but not that much better. And we said it wasn't appropriate, wasn't that access for small cars or, an average family saloon car to travel on to these 2 new properties that they wanted to build. And yet someone has come along with an idea that they think is okay for 5 motorhomes to be sited on there, which are probably 3 times as long as your average car, and yet and a lot wider and a lot taller, and it's okay for them to go on. So something doesn't make sense somewhere, and anyone who can dream up an idea of pitching 5 motorhomes on there on a road that was deemed not suitable, and it was not suitable by the county council either, in their view, but for them to deem it not suitable for an average saloon car, an average family car, I can't see how it can be suitable for 5 motorhomes to travel on it, and for it not to go to committee and for it not to be able to be stopped by the planning authority is ludicrous.
Thank you. Is it? Can I just ask? You know that where the houses are, and they park the cars across from it, don't they? Is it that lady's got that big red fancy car? You know, when you come round the bends and you go on that little track, and there's some cottages. Yeah, and they park the cars. And is it the field beyond there?
It's turning right from there. So it's just before the bent bit of Bent Lane. You've gone down that super narrow bit with the parked cars in front of the cottages, and then you're turning right to get there. The point is that this is an exemption. This 1960 Act is an exemption. So we'll never get to discuss it at Pendle Council. It'll never come to Pendle Council. So this is a consultation period where we can put in our views.
Chair, I think the reasoning behind, I mean, I agree with everything that's been said up to now. This is someone trying to use this piece of legislation for something that it wasn't intended for. I think the 1960 exemption was so that farmers could have, you know, half a dozen tents and things in one of their fields to supplement their income a little bit, without having to bother applying for planning permission. And I think they're allowed five free goes in the year. Beyond that, it needs planning permission, because I think if people remember the one on what we still refer to as Barlick Newra in Salterford, the thing there that has gradually grown into a proper holiday. I was going to say holiday camp. That's been a bit unkind, but there are cabins and all sorts in there. But this is just somebody trying to use one piece of legislation for something that it was never intended for in the first place.
Thank you. Well, how about the clerk will write on behalf of this council and object with the concerns mentioned, and if you want, she'll send you a copy before she sends it out to make sure it has everything in that you want. Is that okay? Right, thank you. Yes.
Before you move on from there, can I suggest that Naomi does draft something but I don't want to drop Sarah in it, but Sarah lives nearer to this site than most of us, that she sort of consults with Sarah as to what goes in it. And can I move that we do that?
I've already had complaints against me personally by the resident that has applied for this. So you can understand that while it's clear that it's in a conservation area and the access is disputed by many people, so I'm not saying anything that's unreasonable, I certainly wouldn't want to have over-involvement in the case, in case there's more criticism about
we'll make sure it comes from the council, not mention your name.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Chairman, just to cover Sarah's back to a certain degree there, can I suggest that Naomi drafts it, circulates it to all councillors, and gives them, say, 2 days to reply if they've any comments to it or any changes they ask for, and then the thing as it stands gets sent.
Is everybody okay with that? Yes, I accept that. Right, that's what we'll do. Thank you. Item 12 is items for the future month's agenda. Ooh.
Already got all facilities going into trust. Already put that on.
Right, Sarah, and then Neil.
Could be a trivial one that could be answered perhaps by the clerk in 2 seconds flat and perhaps doesn't know it can't go on to a future agenda, which is why do the hands of the town hall clock stand at midday or midnight? And how long is it going to go on? And if it's a saga, obviously it can be next month, but if it's quick.
10 seconds. Right, so FES are updated because they have a town hall maintenance item that's a standing item. If you remember before Christmas, the auto winder mechanisms died. So we've commissioned the work to get them replaced and some of the original cogs put back in. That involved sending them off to Italy to get cut and all this exciting stuff, which has been done. It was delayed by Brexit and COVID. We then got a temporary repair of them still working, and the honest answer is they've really given up now. The gentleman who's doing the work has had 2 bouts of isolation, courtesy of COVID, so he's having to finish one of the jobs that he's behind on, which involves scaffolding on a different building, and then he's down to come here for 2 weeks. I have been assured, and it sounds a long way away, but it's really not, it'll be done before Christmas. It's just how quick he can get that job finished. Otherwise, but it was felt that it looked neater being left up at midday rather than something like 17 minutes past 3. So that's why they've been moved to that position. Yeah, it's right twice a day.
Neil.
Hiya. First of all, I just want to jump back to Tony Greaves. As my capacity as an Armed Forces champion, I provide families with plaques for the gravestones or for benches. So I'm quite willing, if you can get some words to me for Tony, I'll leave that with over there. I can have a stainless steel plaque, doesn't rust, and if you give a maximum of like 12, 15 words, I can have that plaque to you within 7-8 days, and it'll be my honour to give it to you. So that's the one thing. So if you want to do that, I can always ask that.
Can you liaise with Naomi with this plaque?
Yeah, and the next thing is I've had a lot of complaints for the next year of parking outside the market. There's normally a white van there, or the vegetable man puts his van on there and offloads, and you know I use it. So, but I'm here to do what the people ask me. So they want to know why this one little white van is parked in front of a beautiful display of flowers, and then it's parked so you can't see it. And there is parking round the back and to the side, and there is a loading bay behind. So the public want to know, why is that van parked there all the time?
Have you talked to the market? Because I don't think it's anything.
Well, now it's, you know, they haven't gone to the market, they have come to me. So this is my first.
Quite often has his dog in the back of it, which I think is very wrong.
Right, thank you.
Because it's sometimes quite warm out here, and we've got a dog in a tin pit.
Well, we have a beautiful market hall with beautiful flowers, and then anyway, the public have asked me to ask this, and here I am.
Do you want it to come back to a future meeting then?
Yes, I want it. Yeah, I want it. Sorry.
Okay, Alice.
Yes, some of you might remember Maureen Arnold. She was a really beloved councillor who sadly passed away a number of years ago. And you might remember that we as the council, we paid for a tree to be planted on the Millennium Green. Unfortunately, we had a few car accidents on the Millennium Green, and one of the cars clipped the tree and it had to be removed. So we're just asking whether this committee would consider replacing that tree for Maureen next to her bench. It was a cherry tree, which was obviously a favoured, but we don't want just a stick, a whip. We want something that's decent in size, mature. And so that's to be considered.
So you want that on the future agenda?
Yes, please.
Anything else? Sarah?
I would give my pre-support to Maureen's tree. I was there for the bench naming and so forth, and Maureen was an absolutely lovely lady. How heartbreaking that her tree just getting established would be ruined. I want to put my two penneth in, Neil, about the plaque, just because I know what you're saying in terms of it won't rust, etc., but it's not going to rust anyway in the town hall. I think that we should really, not suggesting we throw taxpayers' money, we throw caution to the wind, but I think that for this plaque, it's going to be there for a long time on a historic door. I mean, look at the linen fold panelling that these doors have. I know, it's the same door, isn't it? Yeah, it's the same beautiful door. It needs to be solid brass. We need to go the full 9 yards. We need to have it properly engraved because it's part of the historic fabric of this building, or it will be. So I just feel that we need to get a sort of historic building compliant plaque.
Thank you, Sarah. I wasn't mentioning the inside. I was thinking more of the woodland. That's. I think you've been missing.
We're going for like an information board. So actually, it's going to be lots of things about birds and trees and Lord Greaves, and so I think it'll be one of those big ones. And the chief executive is looking at that this week.
Yeah. I think Naomi's confirmed that it will be the brass in here. It will be. Any more items for a future agenda? Yes, I know. Yeah, it's really, really hot.
Chair, can I make a very quick suggestion, because we all want to go home and it's hot in here? That young lady over there wants a tree. Sarah's all for it. I'm all for it. Can we not move something now? Save another month of messing about? All right, whatever. There's another month wasted, that's all. My apologies. Red tape.
Right. So the last item is the date and time of the next regular meeting, which will be Tuesday the 16th of November at 7 p.m. here in the Town Hall. So thank you very much for attending.